Imagine being one of the best players in one of the biggest games of all time. Then imagine growing tired and bored of the repetitiveness of said game, only to then decide to develop your own brand new title. Well, for ex-Hearthstone player Reynad, this is in fact his reality, and for the last 6 years, he has been developing a new hero builder by the name of the Bazaar. I myself have little experience with competitive card games. I have dabbled in many physical deck builder games, and one of my favourite releases of the last decade is Slay the Spire. But even if I had huge amounts of experience with these games, like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh for example, I couldn't fathom making my own version of one of these games. You have to be some sort of genius. Look at this face. This is the face of a boy who has the intentions of creating an amazing deck builder. Fast forward 6 years, and this is the face of a man who has dedicated every minute obsessing over his new game, which has become a hero builder. Each inch of hair growth is hundreds of hours of development. The longer the hair, the less sanity and hygiene, but the greater the video game. The same friend that introduced me to Slay the Spire also provided me with the code for the closed beta of the Bazaar. And since the price of free was right for me, I decided let's review this game, see what it's like. Now, once again, the Bazaar is in closed beta. Future features like instant replay and more heroes and cards and stuff like that obviously coming in the future, so this is just mainly a gameplay review. As I already mentioned twice, hero builder. The Bazaar is classed as a hero builder, that's 3 times now, but that hasn't always been the case. The original concept was in fact a deck builder, typical draw pile, discard pile, and after much playtesting, this evolved into being a drafting game, but still, taking it in turns to purchase new cards and attack your opponent. From October 2020 to March 6th, 2021, the game changed and refined again. It now was beginning to look more like the Bazaar we have today. The Bazaar takes place over a series of days. Each day has multiple events like purchasing new cards or skills, fighting monsters to test your deck, and then at the end of the day you fight against a real life player. If you win 10 ranked fights against players, you will continue to climb the rankings. If you get 10 wins in normal mode, you unlock another ticket that allows you to attempt a ranked game again. Now, I actually saw in an earlier interview from Reynad that he actually is a big gamer, obviously, but despite this, he understands that some of us have lives and we can't sit down and play these games all the time. So the idea was to strip away the need for gamers to always be present and needing to dedicate huge chunks of your day just to play and be competitive. Never again will I have to ignore the ramblings of my wife so that I can concentrate on gameplay. I make a joke, but look, the other day before work I played for like half an hour, went to work for 9 hours, came home and just started playing from where I'd left off. This works because the gameplay itself is in between the actual battles. Most of us have grown accustomed to having to select each card, having your turn, building your deck, and then waiting for the opponent to have their turn while I try to figure out what to do next. But in the Bazaar, it all happens automatically and simultaneously in a short 30-second battle that, if goes on for too long, ends with the weakest player being wiped out by a sand cloud. The battles themselves are extremely short, but what takes place before each battle can take as long as you wish. Like I said earlier, you can purchase a new ability, have a round of diarrhea, come back to the PC, choose a monster to fight, go to the doctor for anti-diarrhea medication, come back and select an item to buy, and so on. Before starting a game of either ranked or normal mode, you have to choose a hero. Each hero has abilities that they focus on. For example, Vanessa generally leads towards damage items that work together. She also gets a lot of items that have ammo and the burn effect. Pygmalion tends to have more healing and a large amount of health that makes him hard to beat. He also uses his income to increase his cards over long periods of time. What I really love about the Bazaar is that despite each hero having their own unique card deck of 100 cards, you can really build them up to focus on pretty much every aspect of the game. So Vanessa, who normally has an army of weapons at her disposal, can purely focus on defense and become just as tanky, if not more tanky, than Pygmalion. Reynad said in an earlier video that one of the reasons Hearthstone got boring for him was after a while each game began to feel very repetitive to the same constant builds being used. To counteract the ability to be able to follow a meta and build the same hero strategy every game, the Bazaar forces you to focus on many aspects of your character. If you go to the same merchants over and over to farm cards, then your hero will miss out on important skills, tools, money, experience, and even health. I have probably played 30 games with each character, and still after that many attempts, my build is constantly changing due to the cards that are available for me in any given playthrough. Obviously, the more time you spend with each character, the more you learn about each ability and what makes them tick. Early on in each game, you start off by choosing a card, and generally you'll try to make your build based off what that first card is, but it doesn't always work out that way, forcing you to constantly experiment and change your tactics. There is a bit of RNG involved in regards to what sort of merchants you come across and the types of real-life opponents you face. You could just get extremely unlucky and come across players that have the build that happens to be your weakness. And while the luck side of it can be frustrating, I know deep down that I lost because it's my fault. I suck at these games. Why do I constantly play them? I just love these types of games so much. Okay, let's have a closer look at some of the cards so you get a better understanding of how the game works. If you have played similar games, then the terms will be very familiar to you. As you can see, at the start of each game, our side of the board can only hold a few items. As you level, it grows and you can fit more. Larger items tend to be more powerful, but they obviously take up more space, so it's always a gamble using them. If you have a look at the crow's nest, which is a large item that takes up 3 spaces on your board, you will notice that it gives my other weapons 50% critical chance. And if you have one weapon, which I do, that weapon has lifesteal. The one weapon I have currently is the trusty revolver. It has 6 ammo and every 3 seconds it will activate. It does 5 damage and has a 70% chance, thanks to 50% from the crow's nest, to critical, which doubles the damage. Here we have some defensive items. The coral armor shields 18 every 6 seconds, and when I purchase another aquatic item, it gains 4 damage. So I purchased the 2 items next to it, which gave it an extra 8. The jellyfish poisons 1 every 8 seconds. Poison essentially just deals 1 damage over and over, and each time I cast poison, it adds to that damage. When I use either of the adjacent items, it will haste for 1 second, so instead of 8 seconds, it will be faster. There are items that burn, slow opponents' cards, or freeze them for a short time. Heaps of different abilities that all go hand in hand with each other. Sometimes it works, and sometimes you simply won't find any combos, and it's frustrating, but it's a part of the game. And again, most of the time, it's my fault because I suck at these games. There are also skills which you can have unlimited amounts of if you come across them. Some add to your poison damage or shield. Some will increase your crit chance. There are heaps of them, and I am so excited to see the ones they add in the future. The thing I love about this game the most is that each decision feels like a gamble. Now, I don't gamble in real life because I know deep down that I would get addicted, and then I would gamble away all my money and my family would be broke and we would have to live in a homeless shelter. But in the Bazaar, each choice you make could have a large impact down the line. Do I focus on leveling quicker? If I do, then I might miss out on other skills or items. Do I focus on building my income so that I can afford items and skills? Well, if I do, I might not be able to get enough health upgrades. I don't play many competitive games anymore due to my old age. I'm actually 80 years old. I look fantastic, I know. But this is one of the first where I don't mind constantly losing. It might just be my old feeble 80-year-old mind, but I lose a lot. But when I win those rare 10 games, boy, is it sweet. I actually let out an audible scream once when I won. Look, I won by like half a second. It was my 10th game too. That scream that you just heard wasn't actually me, by the way. I wasn't recording the voice when I was recording that footage, so I'm not sure if you couldn't tell, but that scream wasn't me. I put it in editing post, so yeah. So far, I'm really loving this game. It's hard, but not overly complex. Satisfying when you win. You learn lessons when you lose. I am very pumped to see where it goes from here, and I can confidently say that I am a huge fan. The link to the game's in the description. Go check it out. I'm not sponsored by them. I actually emailed them with a few questions, and they essentially told me that they're not answering my questions. So, this isn't a sponsor or anything. Maybe they would answer my questions if I had 10,000 subscribers. So, if you're watching this, please subscribe.